We are seeking justice for her, and we are willing to do anything in our power to make sure that happens. And we're going to seek the fullest extent of the law to make sure this guy is behind bars and stays behind bars.
Janean's sisters say that she recently moved to Dallas from California, but grew up in New Jersey and Jamaica. Her sisters say she was a senior vice president of a marketing firm and that their sister will be remembered for her accomplishments, heart, and determination.
"46-year-old Jenean Chapman was an ambitious, goal-oriented, hardworking, loyal, and loving woman who was described as a beacon of light by her family and friends. She had a plethora of accolades throughout the years, including being the executive assistant for the Duchess of York, an intern at Def Jam Records, where she worked with multiple artists and even rubbed shoulders with prominent individuals, including Barack Obama and Muhammad Ali. One of her most recent roles was as senior vice president at Critical Mass, overseeing the digital marketing department. Janine had moved to Dallas about 5 months ago for a new job and was working on starting her own business. Everything was on the up and up. Life appeared to be going great for Janine. Never in anyone's wildest dreams could they have imagined the evil that would soon unfold. Around noon on September 25th, Dallas police responded to the National Apartments on Elm Street in downtown Dallas. Upon arrival, they would locate an unresponsive adult female lying on a bed. The victim was identified as 46-year-old Jenean Chapman, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. Her death was initially ruled unexplained before a post-mortem exam conducted by the medical examiner's office quickly determined she was murdered, with the prime suspect identified as Janean's on and off again boyfriend of 6 years and fiance of 2 months, 48-year-old James Patrick. Neighbors described hearing screaming and fighting coming from the apartment before she was murdered. Officers believed her body had been laying in the apartment for several days before being discovered. Janine was discovered during a welfare check after she failed to show up to work. In fact, her job called the police because 5 days before her body was found, she had requested time off due to domestic issues she was having with her husband. They said she had not answered her phone or had any contact with the company days later. It was documented that Janine had suffered hemorrhaging to the muscles in the neck and eyes, blunt force head trauma, lacerations to the inside of her mouth, and blood around the brain. There were large amounts of blood on the bedding and floor of the bedroom. A nightstand on one side of the bed and a lamp on the other side had been knocked over. Surveillance video from the apartment showed Patrick on the property on September 20th, loading up furniture, and was also on the premises on September 22nd. An affidavit goes on to state that a doctor observed a bloody black fingernail on Patrick and asked how the injury occurred. Patrick then stated, "I got into a fight with my wife."
Jenean Chapman's sisters described her as fierce, loving, and ambitious. Her murder blindsided them, especially since the suspect was a man who was so close to their sister.
And she was an entrepreneur. She was getting ready to start her own business. So she was really ambitious, living life to the fullest, and just trying to accomplish all these different goals.
46-year-old Jenean Chapman was on track to achieve those goals. Her sisters, Nicole and Crystal Marshall, said she just started a new job and was working on starting her own business.
She was all the way around a good person. So this is the last thing that we were just completely blindsided by this.
Dallas police say Monday afternoon, officers found Chapman dead in an apartment inside the National on Elm Street in downtown Dallas. Tuesday, the medical examiner confirmed Chapman was murdered. 48-year-old James Patrick was identified as the prime suspect. Her sisters confirm the two were together on and off for 6 years.
In the last year or so, the relationship got really rocky.
Marshall says that Chapman moved from California to Texas 5 months ago, since this is Patrick's home state. The two got married in July, but the family didn't attend.
That's why I use the word blindsided, because we did not see this coming. We knew that they had arguments, and that's typical in relationships. It was a bit toxic. But we would never think it would have been taken to this extreme where my sister would ultimately lose her life.
Dallas police say Patrick was arrested by University of Texas police at a hospital on Wednesday and charged with murder. They wouldn't share why he was in the hospital.
We got the target on him, and yeah, so we're happy with the way everything is unfolding at this point in time.
As Chapman's family copes with the loss of their sister, someone who they called a role model.
I miss her every day. Every day.
News of Janine's murder completely blindsided her family. Although they were aware that the couple recently reached a rough patch in the relationship, they never expected things to end like this. Janine moved from California to Texas 5 months ago, since Texas is Patrick's home state. The two got married in July, but the family didn't attend. Her sisters also indicated that they had not heard from her since the 20th of September, which was strange to them since she always had her phone. Janine and her husband had been separated, and she informed her sisters that Patrick had choked her unconscious in a recent fight. A look into Patrick's criminal history revealed he has a terroristic threat charge from 1993 in Dallas County that was dismissed, and a theft charge in Travis County that was also dismissed.
Police documents reveal new evidence against the man accused of murdering his estranged wife in downtown Dallas last month. They say on the day Jenean Chapman's body was found, suspect James Michael Patrick was at a hospital for treatment and admitted to a healthcare professional he had dried blood on his hand because he had a fight with his wife. Fox 4's David Santendry has more evidence from the murder investigation. David?
Well, Jenean Chapman's family says they could barely recognize her body prior to her funeral. Now, with the help of some police documents, we're learning a bit more about what led to her husband's arrest.
Everything.
46-year-old Jenean Chapman meant the world to her sister, Crystal Marshall.
My sister was a beacon of light for me.
Now we're learning more about Chapman's estranged husband, 48-year-old James Michael Patrick, who's charged in her murder.
Just seemed like the relationship just wasn't stable.
According to a newly obtained arrest affidavit, on September 20th, Chapman took time off work for domestic issues. Then her work did not hear from her for 5 days, so her HR manager called police for a welfare check. It was at her apartment complex off Elm Street in downtown, where Dallas police discovered Chapman's body on her bed. There were large amounts of blood. A nightstand and a lamp had been knocked over. There were obvious injuries to her neck, face, and body. Chapman's family says her body was unrecognizable.
It's hard to wrap our brains around the fact that she's dead because it's like it didn't look like her.
According to the affidavit, police interviewed one of Chapman's sisters who claimed Patrick choked Chapman unconscious in a recent fight.
Don't take anything lightly at all.
It's unclear how many days Chapman's body was left in the apartment. According to the affidavit, the day police found her body, Patrick was admitted to a hospital in Austin for treatment to an adverse reaction to an unknown substance he took. During his examination, a doctor observed a bloody black fingernail on Patrick. When asked how the injury occurred, Patrick said, "I got in a fight with my wife."
My sister was a classic domestic abused woman.
After college, Chapman spent time working as a personal assistant to Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Ferguson posted on Instagram that she's shocked and saddened of Chapman's murder. She says she's making a donation to support Chapman's family.
46-year-old Jenean Chapman was laid to rest on October 6 at the Queen of Peace Cemetery in Westbury, New York. 48-year-old James Patrick was arrested by University of Texas police at the Del Seton Medical Center in Austin, Texas, where he is being treated for an adverse reaction to an unknown substance. He was subsequently charged with murder and transferred from Austin to Dallas County and remains in jail on a $1 million bond. It is unclear whether he's obtained an attorney to speak on his behalf. A motive for the murder is still unknown. The case remains ongoing.